You should not have clicked this link. Today, we're going to be reading Give Me Liberty, Chapter 27, A New World Order, 1989 to 2004. The year 1989 was one of the most momentous of the 20th century. In April, tens of thousands of student demonstrators occupied Tiananmen Square in the heart of Beijing, demanding greater democracy in China. The students erected a figure reminiscent of the Statue of Liberty, calling it the goddess of democracy and freedom. In June, Chinese troops crushed the protest, killing an unknown number of people, possibly thousands. In the fall of 1989, pro-democracy demonstrations spread across Eastern Europe. Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev made it clear that, unlike in the past, the Soviet Union would not intervene. The climactic event took place on November 9th when crowds breached the Berlin Wall, which since 1961 had stood as the Cold War's prominent symbol. One by one, the region's communist governments agreed to give up power. In 1990, a reunified German nation absorbed East Germany. The remarkably swift and almost entirely peaceful collapse of communism in Eastern Europe became known as the Velvet Revolution. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union itself slipped deeper and deeper into crisis. One after another, the republics of the Soviet Union declared themselves sovereign states. By the end of 1991, the Soviet Union ceased to exist. In its place were 15 new independent nations. The sudden and unexpected collapse of communism marked the end of the Cold War and a stunning triumph for the United States and its allies. For the first time since 1917, there existed a truly worldwide capitalist system. Even China, though remaining under Communist Party rule, had already embarked on market reforms and rushed to attract foreign investments. Other events suggested that the 1990s would be a decade of democracy. In 1990, South Africa released Nelson Mandela, head of the African National Congress, from prison. 4 years later, as a result of the first democratic elections in the country's history, Mandela became president, ending the system of state-sponsored racial inequality known as apartheid, and the white minority government. The sudden shift from a bipolar world to one of the unquestioned American predominance promised to redefine the. I'm not listening to this, by the way. From deep into a chess theory, President George H. Bush spoke of the coming a new world order, but no one knew why its characteristics would be what its characteristics would be and what new challenges to American power might arise. Okay, question 1 of 14. The election of Clinton. Oh, wait. Did I not finish that? Oh, wait. So to a large American military establishment in Saudi Arabia, to the outrage of Islamic fundamentalists who deemed its presence an affront to their faith. In the Gulf War's immediate aftermath, Bush's public approval rating rose to an unprecedented 89%. The election of Clinton and other two Bushes. It's really confusing. Had a presidential listed under the same policy. I don't know. Okay, great. The election of Clinton. Had a presidential election been held early in 1991, Bush would undoubtedly have been victorious. But later that year, the economy slipped into recession. Despite the victory in the Cold War and the Gulf, more and more Americans believed the country was on the wrong track. No one seized more effectively on the widespread sense of unease than Bill Clinton, a former governor of Arkansas. In 1982, Clinton won the Democratic nomination by combining social liberalism with elements of conservatism. A charismatic campaigner, Clinton conveyed sincere concern for voters' economic anxieties. Bush, by contrast, seemed out of touch with the day-to-day lives of ordinary Americans. He was further weakened when a conservative leader, Pat Buchanan, delivered a fiery televised speech at the Republican National Convention that declared cultural war against gays, feminists, and supporters of abortion rights. This rhetoric seemed to confirm the Democratic portrait of Republicans as intolerant and divisive. A third candidate, the eccentric Texas billionaire Ross Perot, who had never held elected office, also entered the fray. He attacked Bush and Clinton as lacking the economic know-how to deal with the recession and the ever-increasing national debt. Millions of Americans considered Parrott a credible candidate, testified to widespread dissatisfaction with the major parties. Parrott received 19% of the popular vote, the best result for a third-party candidate since Theodore Roosevelt in 1912. Clinton won by a substantial margin, a humiliating outcome for Bush, given his earlier popularity. Clinton in office. In his first 2 years in office, Clinton turned away from some of the social and economic policies of Reagan and Bush years. He appointed several blacks and women to his cabinet, including Janet Reno, the first female attorney general, and named two supporters of abortion rights, Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Stephen Breyer, to the Supreme Court. He modified the military's strict ban on gay soldiers, instituting a don't ask, don't tell policy by which officers would not seek out gays for dismissal from the armed forces. His first budget raised taxes on the wealthy and significantly expanded the earned income tax credit, a cash payment for low-income workers begun during the Ford administration. The most effective anti-poverty policy since the Great Society, the EITC raised more than 4 million Americans, half of them children, above the poverty line during Clinton's presidency. Clinton shared his predecessor's passion for free trade. Despite strong opposition from unions and environmentalists, he obtained congressional approval of the 1993 of the North American Free Trade Agreement, a treaty negotiated by Bush that created a free trade zone consisting of Canada, Mexico, and the United States. The major policy initiative in Clinton's first term was a plan to address the rising cost of healthcare and the increasing number of Americans who lacked health insurance. In Canada and Western Europe, governments provided universal medical coverage. The United States had the world's most advanced medical technology, but a woefully incomplete system of health insurance. Only millions of Americans lacked any coverage at all, leaving them vulnerable to large debts should they face unexpected serious illness. Too complex to be easily understood by most voters, however, and facing staunch Republican and business opposition to further expanding the unpopular federal bureaucracy, the Clinton plan died in 1994. Hey, you be real? Huh? Who is the devil? I'm the devil. Wait, this is me. Asleep? The Freedom Revolution. With the economy recovering slowly from the recession, and Clinton's first 2 years just recap everything you just said. I low-key don't know what I've been talking about. Oh, no. Okay, I have an idea. Huh. We do the ChatGPT message. And we go through all the subheaders, and then we go, explain this in dumbass terms. And then we just read that. It'll be a lot quicker. I like her idea. Okay. Let's hope John just sound. What? Like how what said? A blowjob should sound. Oh. So, stop that boy. So I am giving the ghost a jump.